The new patriotic party NPP today closed nominations for the party's 2015 parliamentary primaries. But does that end many of the issues raised by concerned members, including the fact that many new faces who do not qualify to contest the parliamentary primaries have been allowed to file their nominations, plus calls for some incumbent MPs to contest unopposed in the coming primaries? So now that nominations have closed, how is the party handling all of these, considering the fact that failure to deal with these pettiness can mar the party's fortunes come 2016? This is today's big story with me, Aisha Ibrahim. We'll be back shortly. So who qualifies to contest the NPP parliamentary primaries, and how is the NPP putting all of these concerns into consideration with a bigger picture of winning the 2016 elections? We'll be gauging the mood of John Buedu. He's the national organizer. We'll also be talking to some contestants who have had to go through some frustrations to be able to file their nominations. Joy affirms a former morning show host Kojo Ponkroma is one of them. We'll also be talking to Philip Addison. He's also one of them. And then we'll also be talking to Philip Longdon. They're all members who are contesting and who have been frustrated to be able to file their nominations. On the line now is John Buedu, national organizer of the NPP. Good evening. We're very grateful for your time. Hello. Hello, Mr. John Buedu. Hello, Mr. John Buedu. I believe the line is not working. We'll be trying to get him later, but let's go on to the other phone lines and speak with Mr. Kojo Ponkroma. Good evening, sir. We appreciate your time on today's big story.
Good evening. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. There were earlier problems that you faced. One of them is the fact that you are a new member of the party and you do not meet the requirements that can allow you to contest for the primaries. How are these true, and how did you deal with them?
Oh, well, there were not really problems. I think it was an opinion expressed by one person. But one person's opinion, with the greatest of respect, is not exactly what the rules are. So the rules of our party are very clear, and we are going through the process of the party. But that matter has also even been resolved, and now we're working together to build a united party aimed at reclaiming the Ofonsia Yoruba constituency as a stronghold for the new patriotic party, and working very hard to bring our presidential candidate to power and to do a lot of the good things and policies that we desire to do. So I won't call it, I think it was one man's opinion, but luckily that opinion is also being contested.
Well, you are joining, or you're campaigning on the ticket of an opposition party that is seeking to come to power in 2016. What do you bring on board?
Well, as an individual, I bring on board my personal knowledge and expertise, my experience in communication and business management, in public policy. As a member of this party, I am part of a group of people who share a desire to work to rebuild this country. But most importantly, I think also when you look at, the number of people and the kind of people who are contesting this year's primaries, you would find that there are a lot of people who are interested in helping us build a lot of middle ground consensus on the things that matter to us collectively as a country.
All right.
And so I find myself in all of these groups, and I'm optimistic that I will be able to help my party and my constituency and my presidential candidates deliver on our campaign agenda and hopefully win power in 2016 and work with that mandate to transform this country.
Well, I'll have you hold because I have John Boydo, national organizer of the NPP, on the line. Good evening. Many thanks for your time.
Yeah, good evening. How are you?
Very well, thank you. We've heard rumors that some incumbent MPs were not allowed to file their nominations. Can you confirm that?
No, I cannot because today is the date for the closure of nominations. And we expect that we'll receive the collated numbers as per constituency to go through the region before it comes to national. So it does not come to our notice yet. That a certain member of parliament was not allowed by his constituent or constituency executive to file.
Well, we earlier on heard that Isaac Esiama, we cannot confirm that, but that's what we hear, that he was not allowed.
Esiama knows too well how the process is working. You'll be the last person to be most so out. And I think that maybe it's a rumor I should think. Yeah.
Well, so take us through what the constitution of your party requires for who requires to be a contestant, or who is able to contest for such primaries.
Well, basically, the person must be a party member and a vote in the constituency for a number of years. He must be of good standing, that is, he must have paid his dues. He must be somebody who has nurtured the constituency over a period of time. In all these things, there are some criteria that the party at the constituency level, at the regional level, and the national level reserve the right to waive some of these criteria that one needs to be candidates in the constituency for strategic. So some of the terms may not be written black and white.
Mr. Boydo, if you could speak a bit louder.
Yeah, that's why if you've been following our processes around, the General Secretary was given the right to link up with the regional party to stagger sometimes some of the constituency depending on the strategic arrangements on the ground and all that. So these are the processes. But if one pick a nomination form that we are closing by today, the constituency receives the form, do the necessary checks and commendations that they need to do. What they do is to hand over all the forms to the regional party. They also go through the processes. They put them together, hand it over to the national party. Then we have what we call the Parliamentary Election Committee at the various constituencies, which is made up of the chairman of the Council of Elders of the constituency, an elderly woman or a woman rep at the constituency, and the election officer of the constituency.
Okay.
Then you have the regional party also represented on that committee, and a rep of national also at that committee. It is this and only body that have the right to vet candidates. So as to whether one is qualified or not and all that is not at the behest of anybody to determine. It is the vetting committee, the Parliamentary Election Committee, that will go through the processes and the form that has been filled by the candidate. They determine who is qualified. And that process will be done between the 4th of May and the 7th of May throughout the country.
So what's your reaction to the new faces or the very young people who are now joining the party? Is it a strategy for the party to win elections in 2016?
It's very encouraging and a motivating factor for a lot of young people and women joining the party and want to be the face of the party. I think that it is a plus to the party. It tells you the future of the party. It tells you how the party is attractive. Because for a young man who ordinarily will be okay in either business or academia and all that, to leave all that to decide to be a candidate on our ticket is a plus for our party. And I think that it is something that we are encouraging more of. And that's why, as per our rules, we give a rebate of 50% to young people who that is below the age of 40 who are ready and willing to stand on our ticket. And it is a clear strategy that going forward, I think more of those young people will be seen joining it, but not just young people, the people who, although young, have gone through their own professional career, have gone through academia, are successful on their own strength. And I think that is something that we will be encouraging them more as we move on.
But couldn't that also be the fact that these young men are taking advantage of the party, taking into consideration the fact that the party could come to power in 2016? Couldn't it be that...
Well, they are not taking advantage because they are not giving those positions on a silver platter. They are contesting.
Hello, Mr. John Boydu. I think we lost him on the line. We'll be trying to get him again. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, Mr. John Boydu, if you are still on the line, let's
they are not taking advantage of the party. Rather, we are going to benefit from their rich experience and the new face they are bringing in our politics. You understand?
Yes.
Because we are not giving those seats to them on a silver platter. Okay. They are going to contest against their colleagues and they are going to compete. Really, the fact that the party is attractive and the fact that we win power in 2016, that one is clear, and that one we won't apologize for it. We will rather encourage more people to be part of the process.
But is it true that you are campaigning that some incumbent members should go unopposed?
I think that the rules are clear. Nobody per the rules have issues. Any statement to that effect. We would have loved that incumbent MPs that have done so well, that are relating very well with their constituents, will go on the post. Some of them have anyway, you understand. But you can't also prevent anybody who wants to test their strength against an incumbent member of parliament. You must also remember that people putting up their names are not necessarily wishing to just even win. They want to put their names out there, they want to be seen out there, they want to also establish their presence. So that if the incumbent member of parliament is not there, maybe 2020 or 2024, they will also be seen as people who are also ready to take up the constituency going forward. So these are considerations that we are giving. But nobody is attempting to protect or try to let any sitting member of parliament go on the post. Okay,
John, I'll have you hold for 1 more minute, and I'll speak with Kojo Oponkroma, who is on the other line. Hello, Kojo.
Yes, hi.
Many thanks for coming back. You're one of the refined journalists in Ghana. How did it all happen that a journalist who is doing so well now decides that, hey, I want to enter into politics? Take us through. How did it happen?
I'm sorry, your line is a bit chippy, so I can hardly hear your question. Can you come again?
Let me speak a bit louder. I was saying that you're one of the refined journalists in the country and you were doing so well. So how did it happen that all of a sudden someone who's doing so well saying that, okay, I'm dumping that and I'm going to do politics now?
Well, you know, this country is one that belongs to all of us. And many of us, like I said some time back, are worried about how things are going in this country. And we're all not happy with how things are being run. Almost every morning when you switch on your radio or you open up the newspapers or you go online, you see one story or the other that breaks your heart.
That's right.
And all of us are complaining about it. We're writing about it in our social media groups. We are complaining in little groups. But beyond the talk, we need to get to a level where people step up and say, I'm going to sacrifice my personal comforts and my personal desires, and I'm going to be part of this exercise that people call a dirty game. Because you see, the IMF won't come and build this country for us. The Bretton Woods institutions won't come and build it for us. It's going to take Ghanaians who decide that there's been enough talk, but it's time for us to roll up our sleeves and, you know, get involved in the exercise of rebuilding this country. Okay. So my reason for doing this is because I think I've reached that point where I'm tired of talking. I'm tired of being part of the conversation and the analysis of why things are not going right, and I want to be part of the solution. That's my simple reason.
So what impact or what really would you bring on your constituency? Because I know that you haven't been there much, or that's what we hear. If it's not true, then you would correct me. So what impact would you make to the people of your constituency? Constituency.
So let me start by saying maybe you think that I haven't been here much. If you come to the constituency, you come on the ground and you go polling station by polling station and you ask the people here, how long have you known Kojo Nkrumah? How long have you worked with him? They'll tell you I've been known, I've worked here with them for years. In fact, today as I came to submit my forms, I said I wanted to do a walk-in submission. Polling station chairman, electoral area coordinators, the youth of Ofuasi said no, they wanted to be part of it. So they stopped me from my vehicle, they got me to get down, and we walked through the principal streets towards the party office. So it's not true that I am new. I've been here and I've done the work for a while. But even beside the point, you see, it's a matter of your vision, your competence, and your ability to execute.
Okay.
I have a very clear vision for rebuilding the party here in the Ofuasi constituency. You know, this used to be a stronghold of the NPP. We used to get about 75% margin thereabout. Now it's dropped to about 53%. We need to rebuild the party on the ground so that we can reclaim this constituency as our stronghold. Beyond that, I have a very clear vision. I have a 4-point vision, very clear vision that deals with the local economy, that deals with education, that with healthcare, that deals with lobbying for infrastructural development. It's a very clear vision. Now, if I have a high level of competence, I'm able to put together a competent team that will help me execute this vision. And then thirdly, if we have a high sense of execution, no ifs, no buts, no stories, but we execute to precision, then I believe we can make an impact in the lives of the about 53,000 people in the Ofuasi constituency.
Well, there's the belief that the academia is separated from politics, and that you may be very good, but once you're not a politician, I'm saying that there is a belief that you may be very good in the academia, but you may not be a politician. So how do you intend to bring your academic knowledge to this politics you're now ensuing?
You're talking about how I intend to bring my knowledge.
Yes, I'm saying that how are you going to manage, because you're not seen to be a politician, even though you're very good in the academia.
Well, I agree. But you see, nobody was born an expert politician.
Okay.
You need to learn.
Right.
I have the privilege of learning from very senior people who are experienced. Some have been, as old in the party as from the days of Edubuahin.
Okay.
And they are teaching me the ropes. They are showing me where to step, where not to step, what not to say, where not to go, where to pay attention. So the little knowledge I have, if I'm able to learn from, the crop of party elders and party executives who are teaching me, and if I humble myself and I learn,
right,
I will benefit from years of experience.
Okay.
It is that benefit of years of experience that will translate into being a good politician. So I'm learning. I'm learning and working with the leadership here on the ground, and I'm hoping that learning and working with them will translate into, some success for us at the end of the day. Politics is not about winning. Okay. It's about doing the job.
Okay.
So if you're able to humble yourself and learn, then you win and you're able to do the job as well.
Right. Let me hold you on 1 more minute and speak with John Boydu. John Boydu, now that the nominations is over, what next for the New Patriotic Party?
Yeah, thank you. Quickly, like I told you, we have the Parliamentary Elections Committee in place already in all the constituencies with the membership that I described to you. Between the 4th and the 7th, they have to go through the vetting process, and the criteria is clear based on just some few other areas that the party has discretion, the party at the constituency, the region, and national. The results of the vetting will be announced on the 8th of May. If there are no appeals, then of course you can go ahead with the notice of poll by 19th of May.
All right.
Then the election itself will be held on the 13th of June.
Okay.
But if there are appeals, the appeals are at 2 levels, the regional appeal and that of the national. If anybody have any issue about his disqualification or whatever, between 11th and 13th, the appeal body will be put in place to hear appeals from individuals who are disqualified or are told not to stand. Then from 13th, if there are more appeals or people who are not satisfied with the regional appeal committee, they can still go ahead and appeal to the National Appeal Committee. That will be done on the 15th of May. Beyond that, we are making preparations. We've been talking to the Electoral Commission. We've had discussions with them because they are the ones who do public elections for political parties. They will be in charge of our elections. We've been talking to the police arrangements, and everything is in place to make sure that we have a very successful parliamentary primary. But for some few disputed constituencies that some of them are in court, some of them are internal processes that we've not finished, and some few other strategic constituencies, we hope to have a very successful primary by the 10th to 30th.
Well, John Boedu, let me hold you on one more minute. I'll have to say thank you to Kojo Ponkroma. We lost him on the line. I wanted to ask him one more question, but Philip Addison is on the other line. Good evening. I appreciate your time for joining us on TBS.
Good evening.
Well, your case is a unique one where your chairman has promised to campaign for you to contest, and then he turns around to come and contest you. How are you taking all of these?
Well, I think we've come a long way from that. I have been campaigning since then. I believe all others are also campaigning, so that is now behind us.
Well, let's look at the dynamics of your constituency where there are assumptions that your party wants a gun to contest for the seat. You feel it's a threat?
What is a threat?
That you're not a gun and they're looking for a gun. They want a gun to contest for that constituency, for the party's fortunes?
Make a categorical statement, and I don't know what that is based on. But I'm not a guy, I'm a guy.
Oh, okay, that's fine. And so does that make you more comfortable to vie for that seat if you're a gun?
Well, I think it's not only limited to guns, but I think it's a bonus.
It's a bonus.
Also here.
Did that also inform your decision to contest for that seat?
Yes, it did. It certainly did.
So now that nominations are over, what next for you? What is going to be your main campaign thrust?
Well, at the moment we're doing door-to-door campaign. We'll continue the door-to-door campaign. I want to meet all the delegates at their houses, at their workplaces. Then after that, we'll do mock-up. We'll be meeting them in small groups. That is the way we're going to conduct our campaign.
But in all of the nominations, from opening of nomination and closing of nomination, there has been some pettiness. One of the issues that came up is the fact that some MPs are being asked not to go unopposed. What's your opinion on that?
Well, I don't know which MPs have been asked to go unopposed. I'm not aware of that.
For instance, the MP for Kwadaso is calling for the minority leader, for leadership to speak on behalf of the minority leader to go unopposed. I don't know if you've heard about that.
Right. Well, I think there's a need for the party to really formulate policies on these things because for the sake of continuity, so that the party does not lose some of its best members in the House. So that there's certainly a need for protection for some of the officers in the House. That is what I believe. Yes.
Well, many thanks for your time. We appreciate your time on today's big story. We've been talking the NPP's nomination, which opened some time ago and it's now closed. We're looking at the issues that came up. Some of them has been the fact that many young people are joining the party who do not even qualify to contest, but all of them have been asked to having their nominations have been accepted. And so what next for the party, and what is the party doing to deal with these pettiness that have been raised? Looking at the bigger picture of the 2016 general elections, we have Mr. John Boedu on the line. Mr. John Boedu, your final comments. Let me find out from you, now that election, the nominations are over, and we're looking at the 2016 picture of coming back to power, what really will be your campaign thrust?
I think that I have to reserve that for the time being.
But have you started strategizing for 2016?
You remember that political parties, after every election, put their house in order. And by preparing for the next elections, we've done various internal elections across the country. We are the only party that has been able to do right from polling station, electoral area, constituency elections, regional election, national election, and elected our flag bearer.
Okay.
Right back in 2014.
Right.
And this is the last leg of the internal elections that we are having to complete the process of getting ready for the battle ahead.
Okay.
But this impression that, and you are getting that impression as well, that there are people who are not qualified, whose forms have been accepted. Nobody has the right to determine who is qualified or not, even at this stage. It is only the parliamentary election committee, which is made up of the chairman of the Council of Elders, an elderly woman in the constituency, and the election officer, plus the rep of the region and the rep of national,
right,
that will go through the forms as filed to determine eligibility of the candidate. So until that is done, and pronouncement is made by that committee,
right,
nobody, whether you are a chairman, you are whatever, you can't determine whether somebody, and that's why it is strange to hear that people who are not receiving or are collecting the forms of applicants and all that. I think that this is something that we don't have to encourage at all. I think that it's important that everybody recognizes his role and authority in this arrangement. So it is needless. If you don't collect the forms of an applicant, you can give it to the regional party, you can even give it to the national party, because at the point of receiving the forms, you don't determine whether the person is qualified or not.
Right.
And I think that this must be clear to all, so that we all understand the process, go through the process, and give everybody fair hearing and equal playing field, so that at the end of the poll, nobody will come out dissatisfied about the process. And this is what the national parties insist on, and we will make sure that the guidelines to this is respected to the latter.
Well, many thanks to you, John Boydo. We appreciate your time on today's big story. We'll be back shortly with Joy News Interactive.